Hey everyone, thanks for watching our presentation. My name is Benjamin Kimia.
My name is Ngari Parga, and today we will be talking about Meet Me in St. Louis, released in 1944.
Okay, so some quick things to know about the movie before we really get started. The film takes place in St. Louis, obviously, over the course of 1903 to 1904. It tells the story of the Smith family and what happens to different members of the family over the course of the year. And the main character of the film is Esther Smith, played by Judy Garland. And the movie is remembered as a classic comedy musical. So the part of the movie that I found interesting that I really wanted to analyze is just some information about Judy Garland. So she is one of the most well-recognized performers of all time. She started performing at her father's theater when she was just 2 years old. People would come to watch her sing and dance when she was just, pretty much a baby. And then she got signed to a big movie studio when she was only 13. What most people know her from is The Wizard of Oz. She played Dorothy, and she was only 17 when they filmed that movie, and it's obviously remembered as one of the best movies of all time. Even after her acting career, she was a very, very successful singer. She was actually the first woman to ever win the Album of the Year award at the Grammys in the 60s. Also, the mother of Liza Minnelli. For those who don't know, Liza Minnelli is also a super, super successful, like musical Hollywood person. Um, Unfortunately, Judy Garland did die unexpectedly at the very young age of 47. And her death really, really affected people to the point where 20,000 people came to her funeral in Manhattan to pay their respects. Because people, weren't expecting her to pass so young, they were really devastated when it happened. So I'll talk a little bit about, what how people viewed Judy Garland. So after this movie, she became even more successful because through this film, this was one of the first movies she starred in as an adult. And because of her performance in this movie, she really solidified herself as, a strong leading woman in a film, someone who is, capable of being the star of a movie as an adult. She went on to star in A Star is Born after that, the 50s version, and also released 8 studio albums. So, the thing people really liked about her is just how talented she was. She could really do everything. She was a great singer, a great dancer, a great actress, and, just a great performer in general. She always brought an energy and an attitude to her performances that people really admired. Um, she also dated many famous people while she was famous. She had a lot of very public relationships with prominent actors. I want to say she got married 4 or 5 times throughout her life. Unfortunately, a lot of this took place in the public eye. So, that's an aspect of her life that the public was super involved in. Um, Another interesting thing about her is that she was relatively like politically active for an actress in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. A proud Democrat, openly endorsed a lot of Democratic candidates for all sort of different offices, and donated a lot of money to different humanitarian causes. She was apparently pretty involved in the civil rights movement of the 1960s. And just to show her relationship with politics, just something I found interesting. When John F. Kennedy was president, they would have weekly phone calls between the two of them. And John F. Kennedy would ask Judy Garland to sing him different songs that she was, famous for singing. So, just a pretty crazy thing to, just to show how famous she is and, you know, how many people knew about her. So real quick, just about her legacy still today, I added a little Ariana Grande quote just about how much Ariana Grande loved Judy Garland when she was a kid. Even though the Judy Garland's work is almost a century old at this point, but people still love it because you know, that raw talent just shines through. The energy she had always shines through. And she has some really, really great performances. Uh, and yeah, she's still remembered as one of the greatest performers in American history. And she stars in a lot of the most famous movies in American history, like The Wizard of Oz and like Meet Me in St. Louis. So that's it about Judy Garland. Now we'll move on and talk about some of the interesting aspects of the actual movie.
So a little bit about this movie is that it is definitely considered the perfect musical for natural blends when it comes to including the songs and the dances. Um, so it is set up in a way that the actors don't know that they're breaking out in musical number because it happens so naturally. For example, at the beginning, there is a scene where the father's coming home from work. His two eldest daughters are in the middle of singing, but it is very natural because it's in a way where they are just bonding. And another example of this would be during the bigger dance number where they're having a going away party. So there is a natural blend. It's very, you don't get lost in, or you don't have the movie interrupted by the fact that everybody's breaking out in number in the middle of a song. And another aspect that makes this unique is that they have two numbers throughout the entire film. One is developing the relationship between Esther and John, and then the other number is about showing family unity. So an example of how it focuses on the relationship between Esther and John is The Boy Next Door. She's basically singing about, that's where she starts singing about how she wants to get to know John and how he hasn't noticed her. And then one of the numbers that definitely highlights family unity is after the news that they were gonna go move to New York, have a better job opportunity for the father. It creates a lot of tension and everybody's displeased, but the song that definitely brings them all together is when both parents are talking about being together forever. It definitely lifts up the spirits of everybody around, which shows how despite everything going on, they're still very much supportive of one another. And moving on to the way the movie was recorded, it's that there are a lot of natural camera cuts because everybody has live music performance practice. So for example, one of the very natural camera cuts that add emotion to the scene is during The Boy Next Door. So it is shot from outside of the house looking in at Esther. That is that she is looking outside the window, uh, singing to the boy next door, and this highlights how she yearns for him. And it happens very natural between recording her the outside, and then she turns and she is admiring herself and fantasizing about him inside of the house. So it goes back and forth very naturally. Um, Another very interesting thing about the way this was recorded is the fact that they actually have 180 shots, and this was able to be done because it relates to the song and the way the characters make use of space. So, for example, when they are on the trolley, the way that that Esther moves from the back to the front, up and down, it happens very natural. So the cuts don't seem forced. It's just the camera following her and everybody around that is also singing with her. So this was avoided. The 180 shots were avoided at the time by but it was able to be included here because everybody had that natural had that live musical experience, so everything was relating to one another, making it very natural and very movie like without losing the whole musical aspect of it all. So yeah, those are a couple characteristics about what makes this movie so great. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Definitely, if you're like a musical fan, like a musical person, definitely check out this movie. It's worth looking at.